I know,
That's actually really wild.
isn't it though?
It's crazy that you're here, actually. It's like you're sitting right next to me.
Honestly. Except you can't have your physical touch. I am missing that.
As am I missing yours, but it's like this is like the like a verbal like
Oh,
brush of your cheek. You know what I'm saying?
oh my.
A light hand hold and hug.
Well, just so you know, I am definitely giving a virtual hand on the thigh. Well,
Oh, very good. Well, who are you?
who am I?
Who are you? Yes. I'm not sure if everyone who may or may not be listening to this, if this actually goes live or not, we'll see. Knows who I know who you are, of course.
Of
I
course.
know very deeply who you are. But I'm not sure if our wonderful listener.
Listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, all two of them. Eileen and Kiri.
Yeah, pretty much.
Um, I'm Duran Baron of the Electric Oofaloos. And what about you? Who are you?
I am Dominique Beltran, also of the Electric Oofaloos, that famed podcast recording empire, really.
Empire, yeah. We revolutionized the podcast world.
We did. We were the first ones to record a podcast, to do like the tier listing of
Uh-huh.
foods that we did. We're the first people to
Yeah.
ever do that.
And as far as I'm aware, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware,
You're never
we're
wrong.
still, well, we're still the only podcast
Ever. Yeah.
ever. As far as I'm aware, I've never heard of any others. So,
Me either, actually. Yeah. No, I don't think anyone's uh ever attempt. I mean, it's like how, like, for instance, you'd never remake The Godfather, like
exactly.
once you've already hit that level of perfection of a movie I admittedly have not seen yet. um you can't top it.
You can't top it.
Nope. If anyone's gonna get after me for not having seen The Godfather, I started it and it was too boring for me at the moment because I was trying to clean my room as well, so it's on the list.
It's on my list as well. I have not
Yeah,
yet seen it either.
one day I'll have the time to sit down for like 3 hours and watch it.
Well, 6 if you include part 2.
Ugh, which I do want to watch as well, of course, because part two's maybe even more well regarded than the first one, maybe. So I have to watch two. And then just for completion's sake, I'd probably also watch three, which I've heard is still good, but not like as good.
Not as highly regarded as the
Exactly. Which
previous
would be
two.
the level of other podcasts if anyone ever decided to actually
Exactly.
try to
Where
make.
we are we are the Godfather part 1 or 2. Anyone else is part 3 and
Three theatrically released, not the
not the extended.
recut they made a couple years ago, which apparently is actually really good. So that's just how it be. Anyways. So I was thinking that just to start off, we could just talk a little bit about like whatever movie we've watched recently that's been like really on our mind, like super recommended or super sucked or whatever. And then get into our topic of discussion. Just kind of like, open things up and then roll out like the Autobots.
Like the Autobots. Well, recently I started watching the James Bond movies.
All of them?
Just I decided
Wow.
I want to just go through it and I want to watch all of them. And I haven't watched them in a while. But I got through the first 4. So I watched Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, and Thunderball. And I'm really a fan of them. and this is probably blasphemy, but really, the Sean Connery movies, for the most part, I feel like have not held up very
Mm.
well, especially these older ones. They're enjoyable, but what I appreciate, what I love about them, especially in the latter, Goldfinger and Thunderball, is almost every spy movie trope that's been parodied countless times. And basically, the entire premise of Austin Powers can be traced back to one of those two movies specifically. And it's just so fun to watch, and it's almost too corny now, but only because we've seen these same tropes over and over and parodied, so on and so forth. The villain with the white cat in his lap, and
Mm.
the Shark Tank, and uh, gadgets coming from nowhere. One part James Bond is escaping, and you see him running. It cuts to the bad guys chasing him. You cut back, and he's in a jetpack, and he flies off. Just stuff like that. And I love seeing the origins of all these spy movie tropes, and they are fun to watch. Like I said, I don't know how well they've held up, but especially Goldfinger and Thunderball, I think everyone should watch because they're iconic. They're so much fun.
Nice. Side note, but Thunderball sounds like a pretty good stripper name. So
It sure does.
just putting that one out there. To be
But
fair, so does
for
Goldfinger.
copyright purposes, we have to add an S on the end, so it's just Thunderballs. Strictly
Perfect.
for only copyright purposes.
Yeah, only copyright purposes. We don't want to get axed by MGM or whoever was in charge of them at the time. That's pretty cool. I've only seen, I think I've legit only seen the Craig films and GoldenEye.
We watched Goldeneye together. I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I've seen GoldenEye as well. So I've seen those 6, I think, out of like 26. So I'm missing a lot of them.
And I've yet to see No Time to Die.
Oh yeah, which is good. It's
I'm
good.
excited. I'm
Fun
excited.
fact, me and David, actually, not that you guys know who that is, but no, unless if you've been a listener from the beginning, you know who David is.
You know who
If you're a
David is.
true oofaloo, you know who David is. OG member.
OG member of the Opalus.
But I somehow managed to convince him to go see it with me after work. And so we saw it. And it was good.
That's awesome. Did he enjoy it?
Yeah, he liked it. Casino Royale will probably always be my favorite though.
Casino Royale, especially, I think it's one of the best ones.
It slaps.
Like out of all the James Bond movies that I've seen, Casino Royale is one of the best.
Oh, it is so good. But I'd be intrigued to watch some of the older ones sometime. Okay, well, very good.
Well, after I finish this little marathon, I'll put together a quick list for you of a couple of select ones that I think are peak James Bond.
Oh, I would appreciate that a ton. That would be fantastic.
What about you? What have you been watching?
Well, as you know and are excited about, the most recent thing that I've binged, I guess, was the Evil Dead trilogy. And boy, howdy, were they a trilogy of films that don't feel like a trilogy of films. Which is not inherently a bad thing. When they're each a great movie, fantastic. So yeah, no, since I've only recently, like within the past year, 2 years, which granted, as far as my movie obsession time of my life has gone, that's been like most of it. But regardless, I've only really gotten to horror films for the past couple of years. It's been really fun to get to watch all these like classics of the genre. I really get myself to delve into them, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. Evil Dead 2 was definitely my favorite. I
absolutely
liked Evil Dead 2. that one, like I said in my letterbox review at Shadow Spider 004, always be plugging. Um, I feel like it hit a good mix between the horror and the comedy, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Which isn't to say I didn't like the other two. They're both also very good, but two was right there, and it hit.
It hits hard.
It
Now,
does hit hard.
I I really enjoyed them. Evil Dead 2, I think objectively is the best of the trilogy.
Hmm.
And I agree. It is that perfect blend between horror and comedy. Bruce Campbell's eyebrow alone
Oh my
deserved an
gosh.
Oscar for
Oh my
for that
gosh.
movie. Those wild close-ups of his face, where you just get to see, every follicle
Oh my
move to perfection.
god.
And Bruce Campbell is my biggest celebrity man crush.
That's valid. I've only really seen him in Raimi films,
Yeah,
which, of course, Spider-Man, Multiverse of Madness, and these.
geez.
And I mean,
Mhm.
he's barely in the other four, but man, can he lead a movie?
He sure can.
Wow.
But I've told you previously, Army of Darkness is my personal favorite of the trilogy because it is so out there and so absurd, and that I had such a good time watching it. And if it was longer, then I think it would have just dragged on. But it's such a short movie.
They're all
It's
really
just
short.
over an hour of just chaos, and I enjoyed every second of that.
When I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, this is like if Monty Python made an Evil Dead movie.
Seriously.
I feel like that's in good reason why you adore it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it kind of throws, I feel like it really throws a lot of the horror aspects just kind of out the window, and it is more of like a fantasy comedy,
Hmm.
but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No,
It's just, it doesn't quite fit in with the trilogy, but then again, every movie is basically a soft
none
reboot of
of
the
them really
last.
do.
So I'm fine with
Yeah. No, it slapped. I was really sad about the ending though. That was
that.
kind of a downer.
Which one? Because
I
he
mean,
gets
I
a
guess to
happy
two
ending
or
at the end
three,
of,
but huh?
and he kind of gets his happy ending at the end of Army of Darkness. He goes back to his time and goes back to his job.
Kind of. Wait,
Kind
what do
of.
you wait. What?
In Army of Darkness.
What?
Hold on.
Hold on. Did we see different endings?
What ending? Describe to me
In the
the ending
ending
that you.
I saw, he drinks just a little bit too much of the potion and sleeps too long, and then the world's been destroyed.
Okay, so that is. I read something about it. Where did you watch this?
Uh, you know.
I see. Okay. Wow. Whatever ending was on HBO Max at the time, and I've read about this. I've read about that ending, but whatever version was on HBO Max has him just, it cuts back, he's in his own time period, he's working at his job at S Smart, and he's talking to a girl retelling the story of Army of Darkness, and a demon pops up and he grabs a shotgun, hops on a cart and shoots it, and like across the supermarket.
Oh
and
my gosh.
and I read something about this in IMDb trivia about whatever ending you saw was Sam Raimi's original plan
Original
for the
ending.
ending,
Yeah.
because he wanted to do another uh, Evil Dead
Okay.
that was set in a post-apocalyptic future.
That
but
makes
for whatever
that
reason, he
makes
wasn't able to do.
sense. Yeah, because
And
like when I was
that's
watching, I'm
how,
like, this is a
and
pretty dour. Like it's on level with the second one, but of course we know that there's the third one in a much like Back to the Future 1 and 2, or 2 and 3. I mean, kind of a
mhm,
way.
yeah,
Huh.
and that's actually how Ash vs. Evil Dead the series ends. I haven't actually finished watching it yet. I've started it, but I know how it ends. Is that him and his little crew that he puts together throughout the series end up in a post-apocalyptic future, and that's how the series ends.
Huh. So is the show like a sequel to the the theatrical ending, or the theatrical ending then?
Yes, it is. He's so the show picks up, and he's still working at S Mart, and he accidentally summons the Evil Dead all over again. Um,
I don't know how he keeps doing it.
yeah,
That was
it's pretty wild.
that was the funniest thing to me watching the second one. How it's literally just the same thing that happens in the first one. I'm like, Ash, come on, leave it
Bingo,
alone. You already did this once.
bingo.
Huh.
So
Well, now I need to watch the original ending then.
you need to watch the
Or the
theatrical
theatrical
ending
ending, I mean.
because it is awesome and arguably one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
I'll have to do that.
I've
Yeah, because I was
I've watched
thoroughly
that ending
impressed.
several times. Well, and now I gotta go and watch because I haven't actually seen the original ending for Army of Darkness. I just read that that was going to be the ending, but then they thought it was too dark, and so they
Yeah.
went with this one.
Yeah, no, it's there. That is so
I'll have
crazy.
to look.
Okay. Now I'm trying to figure out like how the heck the version I saw had that ending instead of like, has he
Right,
released a different like director's cut, or what?
right. Yeah, look at that. I just pulled it up on YouTube and it's on both endings. I'm gonna go ahead and send you the ending that I saw,
Okay.
and I will check out your ending
Because from what I
after
can
this.
tell, I think because the very official website I use uses like whenever they upload a movie, it's almost always the director's cut of the film. It's always the extended version, which is very nice because I always like watching the extended versions when I watch movies.
Yes,
Um, but I had no idea. In fact, I was gonna bring that up because um Shout Factory just announced a couple days ago like a super deluxe Blu-ray release of Army of Darkness.
really,
And it looks super dope. And I noticed that it announced that it had like the first disc was for the original theatrical and the second disc was for the director's cut. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder where the director's cut comes from, if I can track that down. But that makes like so much more sense. That is so wild, actually. Like legitimately, that is crazy.
yeah, that's pretty well. Yeah, I just pulled up this. Is it the Steelbook that you're talking about?
Maybe it was just announced like
Okay,
just a couple days ago.
yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
That is crazy. Wow, that's wild. I hope you listeners have enjoyed this uh journey of discovery we just went
Yes,
on.
these massive epiphanies that we've had. Yeah, well, and I remember reading your letterboxd review, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, because I mentioned I'm like that was a
you
really
mentioned,
dour ending.
and I'm like, I mean, kind of, I guess. I mean, he goes back to his like job instead of becoming like a king or whatever. But I don't think it's that depressing. I thought it was awesome. But I didn't think that much of it.
That is crazy. I need to
I
hop
just
on my
thought those were the
letterbox and change
the
that.
the words of a man who have been beaten down by corporate greed and taken advantage of in their jobs. But no, you got a completely different ending.
Yep. Yeah, no, that was the last thing on my. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Like when you were saying that, and you're like talking about the ending to the movie, I'm like, that's not what I saw at all.
Oh man. Well, another mystery solved.
Yep. We're good at this thing. Hire us for all of your missing person cases. We'll figure it out. I've read enough Agatha Christie and watched enough Only Murders in the Building. I could probably solve a mystery.
And I've watched a lot of Scooby-Doo.
And you watched a lot of Scooby-Doo. We got this in the bag. Just message us on Letterboxd.
That is where we're most active.
Legitimately, it is my most used app. Like, seriously. I love just hopping on this thing and just reading people's reviews about whatever movie crosses my mind. It's fascinating stuff. Well, that was fun.
That was exciting.
Shall we go on to the topic of discussion today?
Yes. Let's
Very
talk about
good.
the
All right,
topic at hand.
folks. Does this sound weirder?
What
Like
do you
if I
mean?
like, does it sound louder?
No.
Okay. I don't
Is
think
my
my
audio quality okay?
yeah, it's super good. I was just
Okay.
I hooked up the microphone we bought, and so I was wondering if it was working, but it's probably just running off my earphones, which they work perfectly well too, so no worries. So the entire freaking world, I don't know if you guys know this, but we've actually been in like a pandemic for the past like 2 years or so now. It's kind of a little known fact. The government's trying to keep it from you guys, but we're here to like reveal the truth. You'll get a lot from this.
This is the truth about COVID.
It's real, and it's been here for a while. And of course, like, it's a pretty serious problem. But amongst the very serious things that it has affected is, of course, the state of the movie going world, Cineworld, one of the biggest movie like distributors and owners of theaters in the world, just filed for bankruptcy this week. No, last week. Or technically this week because it's Saturday, so it's still whatever.
So still
Recently.
within the past week.
Exactly. And a lot of theater owners are worried because while we've had a pretty decent summer, shout out to my boy Top Gun, or Tom Cruise in Top Gun, banger film. There's not a lot of big releases coming out the rest of the year. We have about Wakanda Forever and Avatar 2, and that's about it. We had Shazam, but they just moved it back earlier this week. Yep. So that's about it. And a lot of theater goers are super worried. So this week, especially, partially because it's Labor Day weekend, we are having 3 different movie releases that I know of, partially because I'm interested in all of them. And of course, this has been a thing that's been going on literally since movies started. Like, of course, we know Disney would re-release their animated movies over and over and over in theaters, partially because there wasn't home media at the time, but also partially because, it's an easy way to make more money for your movie.
Right.
And so just as a like general thing, what are your personal opinions on theater goers going to go see re-releases, on movie companies doing this, specifically now when movies are just so easy to access that we don't really need a re-release outside of being able to see it in the theater?
Right. Honestly, I am a big fan of it. A while back for Scott Pilgrim's 10th anniversary, we went to go see Scott Pilgrim in the theaters, which is one of our favorite movies.
Oh yeah.
And one that neither of us got to see upon its original release in theaters. And so we got to go and experience it in theaters for the first time, despite having seen it countless times at home. Seeing it in the theater is a great new experience. And my only complaint is that I wish that more movie theaters would make this more accessible.
Hmm.
Recently I've seen theatrical re-releases of The Mummy, Fifth Element.
You did go see
Uh,
the Fifth Element one?
no, I didn't.
Wait, you
I wanted
didn't?
to. No, I didn't.
Wait, okay, hold on. I misunderstood then. Are you saying listing ones you wanted to go see but didn't get to?
I've wanted to go see. I've seen
Oh,
the.
don't mind
I've
me.
seen Facebook advertisement
Yeah,
for
yeah,
these
yeah.
theatrical re-releases for The Mummy, uh, The Fifth Element, and I know I don't remember which theater chain was doing like a Studio Ghibli run that every
Regal
weekend they
is.
were doing.
Mhm.
Regal doing their Studio Ghibli, and I love this. The problem is the closest movie theaters to where I am aren't actually showing these. I have to go pretty far out of my way in order to do these. So I wish that just more theaters would do these theatrical re-releases, especially as someone who has so much nostalgia for movies that came out before I was born. There's so many
Dude.
movies that I would love to see in theaters that I just wasn't around for. I would love to see some of these movies.
Mhm. None of the ones around you are showing them, really.
It, not the closest ones.
Like you have to go into big town near where you live. I won't give specifics in case any of our mini fans want to track you down or something.
Oh yeah, as I'm sure they would. Um, Not that I'm aware of.
Hmm.
At least for Mummy and Fifth Elements, they weren't really close. I had to go downtown for those.
Hmm. That's interesting. I mean, I guess we do too, but like the one in Idaho Falls shows most of the re-releases we have, and I've gone and seen like a number of them because of that.
Right, right.
So that kind of surprises me, especially since you live in a much bigger area than I do,
Yeah.
which will remain undisclosed.
So, like I said, I really like these releases, especially since there are so many. They choose so many of these great movies that
Mhm.
I'm quite in favor of them, and I just hope that it becomes more commonplace. Because I mean, at the very least, they'll have my money.
Yeah, no, I
They put
really
Ghostbusters back in theaters, and I'm there.
there you go. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, no. So I also admittedly personally love them because, like you, I also have a very deep nostalgia for movies and media that weren't around when I was, or they were around when I was born. I was not around when they were made.
Right.
Um, we went and we've seen a couple this year. Went and saw Casablanca at the beginning of the year, which was awesome. We went and saw Matrix at the end of last year.
Oh, that's fun.
It was so cool. I feel like there's been one or two others we've gone and seen, but I can't remember what they were. We're gonna go see Star Trek 2: The Wrath of Khan in a couple weeks because my girlfriend promised me she'd go see it, and I'm holding her to it. If she doesn't want to go see Jaws with me next week, fine. But she already promised she'd go see Wrath of Khan, so we're going. So I'm also, yeah, a big fan of them, especially since oh, this meeting will end in 10 minutes. That's awkward. We might have to do another one and just staple them together.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, because today Rogue One got re-released in
That's
IMAX
right.
theaters, which I wish I could go see, but the nearest IMAX theater is 3 hours away. And I can't. I could. I have today off, so I could travel that far, but I don't think the people closest to me would be happy if I did.
No,
So that's a lot of
right.
money for gas. And next week, Jaws is getting re-released in both IMAX and 3D. So I'm gonna go see that, of course, because your boy loves Jaws. But one of the ones I kind of wanted to get to, kind of on a flip side, is this week also for Labor Day. Sony's re-releasing Spider-Man No Way
Spider-Man.
Home with the extra
11
scene,
minutes of
which were
content.
controversially supposed to be on the Blu-ray, but then taken off, I assume, so they could do this re-release. So how do you feel about that kind of stuff, where it's seems more like a kind of, I don't want to say cash grab necessarily, but you know what I'm saying? Where it literally was just in theaters, 7 months ago.
Well, I really don't think I'm that opposed to it, especially in this period where like movie theaters are struggling to make a profit. And a re-release of Spider-Man No Way Home, which already made tons of money during its initial run, with some more content, like I think that'll draw in a lot of people. And I hope it does well, if only for movie theaters to start earning a little more profit. Now, if this was happening at the cost of Sony making more stuff or continuing their work on stuff like Spider-Man, the next Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse, thank you. If this was happening at the cost of that, or if they just weren't working on anything at all and just kind of focusing on making an income off of their old stuff like that, what I would have more of an issue with. But I know for Sony, they are still working on new stuff. There's several movies in active production, and Across the Spider-Verse is one of my most anticipated movies.
Bro, tell me about it.
And so like I said, I'm not opposed to it. And maybe there are people, once again, who didn't get around to seeing it in theaters initially that could get to see it now. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there are any negative side effects to this?
I mean, I don't know. I'm a little cynical about some of them, partially because on this one, I do feel I was one of the people who bought No Way Home the first day it came out, expecting to watch the 14 minutes that they're putting into this version that was supposed to be deleted scenes on the Blu-ray that they took off. And so I was a little miffed about that. So I'm still a little miffed about it now, and does a little bit encourage my decision to go see Jaws instead this coming weekend. I was going to go see Jaws instead anyways, obviously.
But this just furthers that you made the right decision.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's not showing in any of the theaters here in town. And I definitely don't have the money to go to Idaho Falls, somewhere near me twice. So I don't know. For sometimes I feel like because I went and saw, for instance, I went and saw the Endgame re-release they did a couple years ago that was supposed to have an extra scene added in and whatever, and it was just a barely finished deleted scene at the end of the credits. And so I'm a little shaky with the heck. I went and seen a lot of Marvel's re-releases because now that I think about it, I went and saw their Far From Home one that just put in the scene of Peter Parker getting ready for traveling to Europe that we'd already seen before because they released as a short film. That's kind of funny now that I think about it, that I'm kind of cynical about it, but I've gone and seen all of the re-releases.
Maybe that's why you are cynical about
maybe it. That's a good point, actually. Maybe it is. So yeah, I don't know. I love getting to go see the ones that are old film, not old films, but films that I did not have the opportunity to see, especially when they're classic films from the 70s and 80s, and I mean even the 50s. Like I said, I went and saw Casablanca, which rocks again. So like I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's great for me. I love it. But yeah, some of the more like recent ones, sometimes I'm a little like it, I guess more so it's just when they like advertise stuff that really isn't that, exciting.
Prominent, yeah.
Yeah, unless you're Top Gun Maverick, in which case I am gonna go see you in the re-release so I can watch it in the premium screen format because I didn't get to the first 6 times. Anyways,
Ah,
so yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it. I think it's fun, and there's some more recent movies that I would love to go see in theaters again, even though like Rogue One, for instance, I did see that opening day and it was awesome, and the trip was a threat to my life because it was really snowy because it was December here in the place I live, and we get a lot of snow. So yeah, we definitely almost crashed, but we didn't, and it was a good time. But like, I'd love to go see Rogue One again. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. I love Rogue One.
yeah.
So I think it does just kind of depend. It's just kind of you just kind of run with it. And I think at the very least, it is a very good thing for movie theaters to have like a reliable film that they know people will go see for sure. As long as they just don't like rely on broadcasting their old hits, which one could argue is what they're basically doing in Hollywood anyways, but that's another discussion for another time. Maybe next time. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So moving on a little bit, as someone who has bought La La Land a couple times,
I feel personally attacked.
well, I'm just saying, how do you feel about physical re-releases?
I've bought it 4 separate times physically, just for you viewers at home. I think, right? I have my original copy, my 2 DVD copies, and then my steelbook copy. Yeah, I've bought it 4 times for myself. I own 4 different copies of La La Land, everyone.
And so how do you feel about physical re-releases?
Personally, I think on the other hand, like completely separate, I adore physical re-releases. I think that for a lot of the time, so for me, having 4 different copies of La La Land is just, I love the movie and I love some of the covers that Lionsgate has made for the films. I think it gets like, so I mean, granted, now they do it like yearly, so it's not as cool. Especially for my wallet, because I usually buy a copy every year. But I feel like for people who maybe like didn't know about the movie at the time, or it's like kind of a rare release that they haven't put out for a while. I love that. I think we live in an age now where like a lot of movies get re-released. A lot of like older ones are put on like definitive collector's set. We're gonna have to cut this in a sec. Actually, do you want to just cut this now so it doesn't cut off weird?
Yeah.
And then
give it a
I'll
couple
just call you
seconds.
again.
Yeah, let's give it a couple seconds so that when we cut it together, there are a few seconds of wiggle room.
Oh, good call. Okay.
So we can just kind of fill this void, and you can cut all this stuff out.
Great. I may or may not. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
This could be entertaining. I don't know.
I mean, when you're the only podcast,
This is all people are getting. We have a duty. We have a responsibility with our great power. Side note, this probably isn't going to make it in, but I was watching No Way Home, and I love the scene where Peter's like, how'd you know the great power responsibility line? And Andrew Garfield is like, Uncle Ben said it. I'm like, no, he didn't. Don't you lie to